The coach. Okay, we're 3 days in here. We're 3 practices in. Tonight will be practice 4. So we've got 2 days in Spiders. Yesterday was our first day in Shells. And in general, we're moving right along here. Happy with the progress so far. We have had some unique speakers here during training camp. Very fortunate the first day to have Charles Peanut Tillman come speak to the team. Certainly, when you think about what that guy's accomplished, 13 years in the National Football League, the guy had 38 interceptions and caused 44 fumbles. The guy was the 2014 Walter Peyton Man of the Year. He's got an unbelievable organization for young people that have illness. He's done a lot in the community there in Chicago and throughout the country. He's an All-American, All-Sunbelt player, second-round pick, graduated in 3.5 years, and a Pro Bowl player twice. And certainly got inducted to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. But, just to listen to his message, I think was very important for our players. His thought about mental toughness, right? The ability to be at your best on command, right? Regardless of the situation. He talked a lot about it being a process, hard work. It doesn't happen overnight. And certainly those things apply to our team. We also had chapel yesterday with Eric Truel, who does a great job with our team. He's our team chaplain. He runs the Cafe Chi Alpha organization for student athletes on campus, and he kind of set his theme for the year. We're grateful for Eric and his work that he does with our team. He does a chapel for our team each regular season week. And the theme for this year is strong and courageous, #SC, certainly referencing Joshua 1:9 there. And I thought he had a lot of good information there for the team. So another great speaker today, Chris Ballard. I want to thank Chris personally for speaking to the team. He's a general manager for the Indianapolis Colts. He was the executive director of the year in the National Football League a couple of years ago, and had some unbelievable things to say to our team relative to how to build a team, right? And what goes into the process of acquiring players in the National Football League, and in general about his journey and what he's been able to accomplish and the things that he's learned along the way. So one of the best times of the year for our team. To put some really special people in front of our team. We're extremely excited about Peyton Manning speaking to our team here in the next couple of days. And, with that being said, we'll get right to the questions. I know you've got questions about the football, but in general, we're a work in progress with a lot of work to do and right in the middle of that. So what questions do we have here?
You just touched on it a little bit, but what do you really want them to take away from Peyton Manning?
Well, he hasn't spoke yet. Let's not talk about that until after he speaks to the team.
Okay, no problem.
I think we've had 3 really good days so far in that area. And I think these things impact the players, right? We're all a product of the experiences that we have, the people that we meet, the things that we learn through those experiences and through those people. And, it's part of our process, and certainly I enjoy it. It makes me better. I think our players and staff feel the same way.
Coach, what goes into making the decision as far as who speaks to the team and who, I guess, coordinates that?
Well, we work on it all year, just to get ready for those slots that we have during the training camp. And, Troy Wingert has done that for us this year. We've had different people depending on the year and the organization and who we have here. But overall, someone's assigned that task. I think the entire organization contributes relative to their connections and people that we think would be a good fit. We always try to incorporate a few former players. I think later on we're going to have Brandon Stokely this year. It'll be his first time. It was Peanut's first time. We've had Brian Mitchell, Jake DeLome. We've had a number. Eric Bartell does a fantastic job. So, in general, I think it's a good combination, and we certainly enjoy that.
Coach, can you talk about, it seems like, what we're going to talk about this all year, the depth you have because of the COVID stuff, but you're on the defensive line. It seemed like you lost a lot of games last year with guys that were going through COVID protocols, but if healthy this year, just talk about the depth on the defensive line. It could be a big luxury.
Well, I think that, I don't want to sound, but we're deep because we've evaluated and recruited well, right? I mean, we in reality here, we just have 8 players that got an additional year, okay? And, I think that's why we're deep. I mean, sure, to get these 8 guys back, it certainly helps. But, I think overall, those players are, Ken Marks, Jamal Bell, Levi Lewis, Taylon Humphrey, Farad Gardner, Cam Solomon. I think that's about it. Nate Snyder, right? I think that's about it. So reality here is that, the depth that we have is a product of the staff and everybody's contribution from an evaluation and recruiting standpoint. So the super seniors help, but we'd be deep even if we didn't have them, and I think your question is a good one. What does that create for you? It creates competition, right? It creates a reality that you can be replaced if you're not, disciplined and accountable and can't do your job. You don't have the discipline to execute, and someone else can do it better, right? I mean, that's reality. So, and I do think that's a reflection of not only the defensive line room, but also the entire team. I think there's lots of position battles that are taking place as we speak in every position room relative to the opportunity to play and contribute and how big is your role going to be, right? And the most critical part of that is on special teams, right? Our game changer units is more competitive than ever at this point in time. So we have a lot of roles that are left to be determined as we approach the opener, and I really believe that within the season, how big and small of a role each individual could have is going to be relative to how he performs, that week or that past game. And we'll make the necessary changes accordingly to put the team in position to play the best it can.
Coach, after in last season, 15 and 16, does it even matter to you just from a respect standpoint if you start the season ranked or not, or does it all just come down to what you do that first week against Texas will show whether or not you're deserving of it?
Well, in general, I think that it's important that we realize that nothing that's happened in the past is going to significantly affect what happens this season, right? This is a entirely new organization and team. These seasons almost having a life of their own, right? They're their own individual entity, right? You got so many new faces, new roles, new responsibilities. The competition's different. Their rosters are different, right? So we will benefit from having some experience, right? But, if those players don't apply their lessons and experience that they've had, then it's all for naught. So, we're a 1 year at a time approach. And certainly that's the challenge, right? Let's take this group of people and let's try to get them to perform to their highest potential. Who ranks us where, how many games we win, and all that doesn't necessarily matter, right? We're evaluating, are we getting the absolute most out of each individual player, each position group, the unit, and certainly the team, right? And I think that's our job as coaches, and that's our total focus at the moment in time.
Coach, as far as the running backs, is it too early to tell kind of who really made the progress from everything that's going on so far this summer in those first 3 or 4 practices, or is someone kind of stood out or impressed early on?
I do think that it's a little too early to tell. One day in pads, one day in shoulder pads, I should say. But we're pleased with the entire group. You know, I mean, there's no doubt that I think our evaluation was right. You know, I think they're all, the young players in particular, are all going through those typical, you know, experiences that a first-year player goes through, right? I think that's why Charles Tillman's message was so relevant, right? Chris Ballard's message was so relevant, right? A lot of these things I think that they can hear and listen to apply to their current situation, right? We use the word journey around here. It's going to be a journey for these rookie running backs, right? Much like some of the young players that we've had in the past. So as a whole, this rookie group has been impressive to me, right? Not only the physical ability, the talent, but the mental approach, and their willingness to do the work. And you know, time will tell, right? There are a lot of them are competing for the opportunity to contribute, and you know, it's a challenge. You know, certainly as a rookie, in terms of getting up to speed and getting in position where you can do your job consistently.
Just a little. We hadn't spoken with you since it opened. What's the situation with any COVID or general illness things these first few days? And I know you're not in full pads yet, obviously, but any injury updates?
Yeah, no significant injuries up until this point. You know, we did have a couple contact trace situations, you know, but outside of that, we've had some, you know, illness. I think we've had 2 players that have had situations. You know, we went forever there relative to November of last year. You know, I think going after the summer was over, we could say that we had 2 players in the entire bubble. So we've done well in that area. I do think that we're all a little more aware and to what's going on around us, right? I mean, I think that the state of Louisiana certainly is a hot spot, and we've got to do our part and make good choices and decisions relative to the team, right? So in general, we've done well in the vaccination category. You know, we're well, you know, over 90% in our football bubble. So in general, we're in good shape, and certainly looking forward to getting back to work some more today.
Got time for 1 or 2 more, guys.
Coach, is TJ with no limitations yet in practice?
He is. He's 100%.
Coach, I've got two more things. One kind of camp specific and one a little bit off. Camp specific, you know, you've talked a lot about position battles and stuff like that lower down on the depth chart. And maybe we've been kind of presumptuous with starters since you have so many coming back. So are there some specific starter position battles that you're looking at? Is it the wide receiver situation because there's so many in and out? Is it who's going to step up at tight end? What's specific there? And then the off camp thing. When I was in New Orleans, when we were in New Orleans, spoke with you about, you know, your thoughts on 12-team playoff and how that could benefit things. Still, where do you stand on that? But more so, or additionally, do you fear that now the Texas, Oklahoma to the SEC situation and, you know, whatever rights bidding there is for that could push that too far into the future, if you will?
Yeah, you know, the as far as the starters and all that, we'll give you a depth chart, you know, when we get to the opener. You know, I mean, there's certainly a lot of that going on. I've said it, but you know, I don't necessarily think we want to put our business out there in the streets here publicly. But in general, we'll we'll give you a depth chart as we approach the first game. You know, I feel like that media day was like 6 months ago, right? In terms of what I've been doing since then. I think Steve Spurrier said it best when he said, talking season's over, right? It's time to get back to work. And, you know, to be honest with you, I could care less about how many teams are going to be in the playoff in a couple of years, right? All I'm worried about is getting the Cajuns to play their best this season. So I do feel strongly that the 12-team format would benefit Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. And, you know, that's about as much as I'd like to say about that at this point.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Thank you.
Is that what you want, Tim?
Yeah, that takes care of it. Appreciate it, Coach.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.